Welcome back to CDC Growthonomics. Today is our last session on this micro series on data science for FinTech. So we will continue our conversation there. And today we're going to talk about specifically, we've been talking about data science for FinTech, and we're going to today talk about operations, right? So operations is what's going to be focused on your cost part, right? We've talked about revenue, we've talked about losses. Now it's going to be about operations, and even marketing drives cost. So we talked about ROI last time, but operations is your biggest driver of cost. And so depending on where you are, what specific type of FinTech organization and startup you're part of. Operations might be just agent operations, and then you're talking about CSATs and call volumes and optimizing call routing. Those are the big applications where you're basically talking about agent. We're in the space of agent ops, and they again, depending on the kind of business you have, you'll have fraud agents as well, right? So we talked about fraud analytics already in the second episode of this mini series. Today I'm just talking about CSAT, meaning those call resolution, customer satisfaction surveys for agents who are focused on call resolution, and that's where your analytics and data science will involve, call routing, CSAT. How do you have drop off CSAT? How do you improve CSAT, and so on and so forth. The other specific is if you are in the cash FinTech startup where you're dealing with cash, then you will have something called cash ops, whether it is, like we shared, one of our clients is ATM, where they run thousands of ATMs all across US. So one of the projects we have done for them is cash withdrawal forecast, right? How much cash can we predict on a daily basis, how much at a terminal level, how much cash will be withdrawn. So it's a pretty complex problem to solve, because it has many sides. And so this will be a very huge application for machine learning. We are solving it with machine learning. It is a time series problem. So big application is FB. FB Profit is very popular for many applications of time series. Has significant ability to adapt, like tweaking parameters. There's a lot of parameterization that you can do with the machine learning, with a pre-built, pre-trained model like FB Profit. So that's one application. So I would say heavy in machine learning. This is also an optimization problem. So many problems in operation side is an optimization problem. And so you would look into not only a standard machine learning. Typically, a machine learning model will forecast, and an optimizer will give you, which will balance off on two sides. So, as in this example, let's go back to our ATM example. There is the amount of cash. If you had no cost to cash, you would load up as much cash as you can in a terminal, as much as is allowed, right? But there's a cost to cash. So there are many sides to that dollar. There is a cost to cash, but if you don't put enough money, then there's the lost opportunity. And if you don't put money, you're also creating, there's penalties by companies that are offering you that space for the terminal. There's also lost opportunity. When you do load up more than once, then there is the cost of disbursement. When your armored carrier cost, when your armored carrier goes in and deposit cash, is cost. So there's a lot of nuances in here, because, for example, scheduled armored carrier versus emergency armored carrier will have different costs. So it's a significant optimizer problem. So you would apply a standard sort of an optimizer here. And typically it will work between like a machine learning model talking to an optimizer, and then learning back. It's a great application for machine learning, really, where it's a real time machine learning. It's learning on a daily basis from the data and updating. The CSAT problem is often a correlation application or a decision tree application. So that's where you will understand what's driving your CSATs down, or how to optimally call routing. Call routing is again a big application for machine learning. You wouldn't want to use statistical. You wouldn't want to use traditional statistical modeling. You would want to use machine learning here because of the complexity that you have, and it's typically a classification based machine learning model, because you're often saying, should I try one, two, or three? There is some application of this also in payments, where you're doing payment routing or smart routing. So that would be similar to call routing, but API calls. This is calls which is people calling, your customers calling, but your smart routing is an API call. API call will fall again. It's in operations, but will have huge application for machine learning because of various conditions, very significant feature set, which you potentially can use. You may not have to use, but you can potentially use. So that with this, we wind up our entire mini series on FinTech, for data science for FinTech. I'm also always taking requests. So if there's a particular topic that you want to cover, you're a startup, you're a part of startup, and there's something which is kind of bothering you, and there's something you want me to shed some light on in terms of the application of data science for that particular industry or use case, I'll be happy to do that. So just leave a comment, and I'm happy to create some content for you. See you next time.